South Dakota's pushing it to 5. They win set number 4, 25-23.
Hey Coyote fans, welcome into the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. South Dakota coming off of a road trip, in which the Coyotes split their road trip with a win at Oral Roberts and a hard-fought loss at Denver on Saturday. We're joined by the head coach of the Coyotes, Leanne Williamson. Coach, let's start with Thursday. You go down to Tulsa and able to sweep Oral Roberts, a really effective match for your team, and obviously got it done and really dominated that third set to put an exclamation mark to it.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can win like that on the road, it's going to be a positive. And it was a tough road trip, if I'm being honest. You know, we flew this year for the first time, and took us almost 12 hours from the time we left here to when we got to our hotel. So we switched the schedule up a little bit. And the other thing about it is it's a new gym. They've never played in the Mabee Center before. This is the first year Volleyball has played their matches in there. So getting used to a brand new gym is definitely something that, you know, we haven't had to do since preseason. So, but we had a great practice that day. Felt really good going into it, and our team just did a good job of getting steadily better throughout the match. We're never going to be perfect on the road, but I felt like we got more used to what they were doing, and were able to handle what was coming at us a little bit better. And then that third set, I mean, we were really, really good. We didn't make an error in any facet of the game. You know, they had 7 kills and 7 points, and anytime you can walk away and say that we didn't give them any points is going to be a great day. So really happy with the sweep because they've played really well against a lot of top teams in the conference as well, and I think it was set us up, well for the rest of the road trip.
I've tried to explain to people before the Mabee Center. It's a very unique building. It feels like the lighting is different, just the way the court sits up close to seating that is down below the court. It's just a unique venue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I would agree with the lighting. It's a little bit darker, I think, than maybe what I would have envisioned it being, but then also really bright in certain areas. But actually for us, for volleyball, we're actually pretty far away from the seating. And for us, almost everybody sits on one side. So there were, it was a different atmosphere, but we would much rather play in there than the rec center where they were playing before. But I think it's great for their program to be able to move forward and play in a place like that where they can really grow as well.
What allowed your team to really take control of that match and just kind of cruise through that one on the road?
I mean, I honestly think our serving made a big difference for us. They are a little bit different where they passed with 2 passers a lot of times instead of 3, which doesn't seem like it would disrupt too much with us, but it just creates different areas of the court that you want to serve to, which honestly creates a few more misses at times as well. So I think it took us a little bit to get into that of just what it looked like and how to take advantage of it. But once we got rolling with it, I think we were able to get them out of system a lot. So we played much higher level defense again as the match progressed.
I think your team had 7 aces in that match in a 3-set match. Mm-hmm. It feels like a good number. What's the goal typically for ace serves besides every one of them?
I mean, yeah. Honestly, that's not a stat I pay attention to as much. Obviously, we have the days that we have quite a few. I think we set a record a couple games back against Omaha. I think we had 15 that day, and that's obviously a really good number. But for us, it's more so how often are we serving? When I look at our overall season stats, I want to see who's serving the most amount of time. And with that just means we're holding serve. We're going on runs. We're creating opportunities for us to score points, multiple in a row. And you don't have to get an ace to get a point. I think even just getting them out of system and allowing us to play much better defense on the back end can do a lot for you. So 7 is a good number in a 3-set match, but again, not really a stat that I am extremely focused on. It's more so how often are we serving.
You go from the wide open Mabee Center to Hamilton Gymnasium at Denver University, where it's a little more tight-knit of a facility. You knew that was going to be a heck of a match. Your team wins set 1, wins set 3, real battle in set number 4, and then unfortunately set 5 got away in a 5-set loss, but a real competitive match.
Yeah, after the first set, we felt like we stayed pretty composed. I don't think we were playing at our highest level, but I thought we stayed composed in a tough place to play, obviously on the road, and we're able to find a way to win that first one. Set 2 got away from us real fast. I think we were down maybe 15-10 or something like that, and they ended up on an 8-0 run to close to finish out that game. But I really liked how our team responded. Set 3, I think we got back to what we were doing well, played a little bit more close to Coyote volleyball. And then set 4, I think that's the one that got away from us a little bit. We had a good lead. We built a lead early on. I think it was an 8-point lead. And they really had kind of 2 big runs to close that up. And, I think we made some untimely errors, and honestly errors that we didn't make all day. And then we made 3 in a row or 4 in a row. And when that happened, there was a little bit more of like trying to reset ourselves, trying to get back to, playing aggressive volleyball, playing to win. But just, again, let that one slip away. And then set 5, too, we were up again. And I think we were up 8-3, and then they went on a 6-0 run. So, but, we've seen it on the flip side. You look at South Florida, when we were down by 6 or 7 points late in the game, and we make a run and win there at the end. So there's just never, especially in this league this year, there's never a time where we can sit back. And they did a good job of executing when they needed to. And unfortunately, once we had gotten that lead, we just had a hard time maintaining when they made their pushes. But we made some changes throughout. I think we made some adjustments that did help us. Katie Clancy came in and did some really good things for us, both from the serving line and defensively. Avery came in and set during the end of the second set and then started playing again after that. And she was a little bit of a spark for us as well. But this team is one that we need to rely on our depth, and we're going to continue to make adjustments as necessary to be able to put ourselves in the best situations to win. Doesn't mean we always come out on top, but I think our team is ready, and they understand that every single person is necessary for us to be able to have that success.
Well, more times than not recently, your team has come out on the winning end, and it feels like they've kind of found a little bit of confidence and momentum. And I know we're always building towards the Summit League tournament, but how important is this stretch right now where they have had some of that success?
I mean, it's huge. I think just being able to see themselves come out on the winning end is a big deal. But I think even through this loss on Saturday, there's still so many positives to take from it. We've played the top teams really, really well overall, take maybe one match out of that. So we feel like there isn't anybody that we can't beat, and I think that is a good thing. And I think even looking at Saturday, like we were in control. We had a few stretches where we lost the control on our end. It wasn't necessarily that they were doing something spectacular, although they did play a very good game. But I felt like we had a little bit more control than I think what we utilized at times. But that confidence is huge. Again, with a team, we've been talking about it all year, and this is one of those moments now where you probably have to shift your focus a little bit, is we do have people with experience because we have been playing. We have had freshmen that have been on the court throughout a lot of the season at this point, and we've got to obviously find a way to make sure that we utilize those experiences to play our best volleyball, regardless of the night, home or away.
Well, Coyotes have had some success here recently, and they're hoping to continue that this week. It'll be a split week for the Coyotes, on the road for one and back home on Saturday. We'll talk about that coming up next with head coach Leanne Williamson. This is the Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Active serve is going to be number 17, Cameron Ferris, sophomore for South Dakota. She is Cordero. She serves it. Oh, it skips over the net. And that is good. And that's a point for South Dakota. And they take a 5-3 lead. Active serve is going to be number 17, Cameron Ferris, sophomore for South Dakota. She is Cordero. She serves it. Oh, it skips over the net. And that is good, and that's a point for South Dakota, and they take a 5-3 lead. Kennedy Freeman out for 4 kills in this one. There's a big one from Sealock. To the front, and there's a little dink, a little payback by Brooklyn Schramm, who gets the dink. Air for Sealock, and Sealock with a big hit there gets the point. Sealock with the kill.
Sealock sends it over to the center. Delic took a little one off of that one. Here comes Laird. Laird tools it off the block of Boyer and Fidelic. and gives her team a 2-point lead. Hired in June, and oh, what an answer out of the timeout. And a quick kill there as Harms terminates.
You know, both teams have red and white and black and switch sides, and now I've got it off.
So that is 3 now. Points for South Dakota. They're on a 10-3 run since the timeout, a 5-2 run. Here's the slide to Palman. Davis into the block. And it goes right back down on the Denver court. So South Dakota has figured.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back into the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. We're joined by the head coach of the Coyotes, Leanne Williamson. South Dakota is prepared to go on the road this week for a Thursday matchup and then back home on Saturday, a split week for Coyote Volleyball. Coach, before we get into that, I know that you're obviously paying attention to the standings in the Summit League, and boy, it is a logjam really at the top. I think 5 teams within a game of the top spot, and so it's going to be an interesting next few weeks with volleyball in the Summit League.
Yeah, I mean, a lot can change on different ends of it. You know, we talked about we could end up first, we could end up fifth, you know, and I just think as we go, we've got to continue to be focused on that one game at a time mentality and take care of what we're able to. But it's been an interesting year for the league for sure, of just everybody can beat everybody. There isn't that one team that's dominating in a lot of ways, and it's making this year pretty fun, you know, but also it's interesting, you know, to say the least. So, you know, we feel good about just, again, where we're at and how we're progressing forward and some of these games that we have coming up on our schedule. But we've got to make sure that we control what we can, because our destiny isn't fully in our control.
Past few years, it seems like 1 or 2 teams have kind of distanced themselves a little bit in the league standings, but with it being so tight, obviously every game continues to be that much more important. You'll go on the road this week to St. Thomas. Second time you played the Tommies. What do you see out of them and that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, number one, they've had a lot of injuries, so they've been kind of trying to work through their lineup throughout the entire season. But they're a team that can get really hot, you know, at any time, and especially on their home floor. I think it'll be a really good matchup for us. You know, they did some really good things against us last time, kind of figured out, especially in that third set, you know, ways to maybe take advantage of our defense a little bit. They made us change what we were doing, which I think is a sign of a good team and obviously a well-coached team. So, you know, we'll be prepared to make adjustments as needed, but I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us. A fairly short trip, so I like that right now. But to be able to, again, play on an opponent's home floor and to be challenged in some different ways.
You'll come back to play on Saturday at home against North Dakota, and that you look at them and the Fighting Hawks, what do you see out of them?
So they run a pretty fast offense. That's probably the number one thing that stands out for them when a lot of people watch them play. But the nice thing in a lot of ways is there's actually a decent amount of teams in our league right now that are running a faster offense like they are. So in the past, I think it's been a little bit of a shock at times when you go to a Denver or a UND. But now we've got, you know, 3-4 teams, if not 5, that are running that quick of an offense where you just get a little bit more aware of it, a little bit more prepared for it, and our team, they don't have that shock factor anymore. So I think it'll be a good battle. They're a team that's kind of right at the edge there, you know, towards that 6th place standing, you know, of getting into that conference tournament. So they're going to be prepared to play a really good match. But definitely some things that we feel like we can take advantage of, things that we learned from the last time we played, but obviously 1-5 up there in a very, very close battle last time.
How do you try to handle this road trip with the home game being on the back side of it? Is it a drive home extremely late after an evening matchup Thursday? Do you drive back on Friday and then try to get the bodies ready? It seems like an interesting thing to juggle.
Yeah, for us, we've kind of always had the mentality of really try to get home. You know, even this past weekend, our first flight got canceled, I think because of the weather. Our second flight got delayed by about 3 hours, and it was either get home at about 4:30 in the morning or don't get home until about 4 o'clock the next night. And for us, you know, I think just being able to get get home as quick as possible. They can start that recovery process is how we tend to handle it. So we'll get on the bus, and the nice thing is our players are really good at sleeping on the bus. They find their ways. We are not shy about bringing multiple blankets and pillows and making ourselves as comfortable as possible. So we'll get back so they can go to school. That's always been a priority for them as well. And then, again, prepare with film and a short practice before we have to hit the court again on Saturday.
Well, if anybody ever wondered why we need such big buses to travel,
Correct.
they have their answer now. It's blankets and pillows.
Blankets, pillows, and cushions. Yes.
Coach, what do you want to see out of this group this week as you continue, obviously, to build and keep yourself maintaining position in the Summit League?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things with this group is, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but I think there's been a team or two that has been towards the top of the standings at this point in time in the season. And those last few years, we've been in that mix. And we still are, but it's a little bit more of that logjam right now. So I think for us, it's just really staying intentful and playing to win. I don't think we're fully in control of our destiny, but we are in control of how we attack every single match. So that's one of the biggest things is we got to get in the gym this week, the next couple days, and recover hopefully in a good way, but also being able to work on some of those small things that we feel like could make a big difference for us. So there's some specific skill things we're going to work on, but really that as a team as a whole is staying confident and putting ourselves in a position to earn the wins that we have the ability to win.
All right, Coach, have a good week. Safe travels up to the St. Paul, Minneapolis area. And I know a lot of people will be excited to see this team back on the floor on Saturday.
Thank you.
All right, that's Leanne Williamson, the head coach of the Coyote volleyball team. Coyotes are on the road Thursday night at St. Thomas, back home against North Dakota on Saturday. That wraps up the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.